This is Khatt Chronicles, design stories from the Arab world. My name is Yara Khoury Nammour, and I have with me today Nisrine Sarkis. Nisrine is a graphic designer specializing in branding and Arabic lettering. She earned her master's degree from the Holy Spirit University of Kaslik before spending 8 formative years at Wonder 8 Branding Agency, where she developed visual identities for various businesses in the region. In 2016, Nisrine embarked on her freelance journey, concentrating on projects that showcase Arabic and bilingual identities. Her interest in lettering grew from a love for words and semantics, leading her to earn certifications in Latin type design from Type at Paris in 2015 and Arabic type design from Arabic Type Design Beirut, or ATDB, in 2016. Since then, Nisrine has been blending her lettering skills with her branding experience to craft unique Arabic identities for her clients. Concurrently, she has been instructing typography and branding at LAU for nearly 8 years, alongside her freelance commitments. Hello, Nisrine.
Hi, Yara. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I will start our conversation today with my first question, which is, how did you become a type designer, a lettering artist? What got you into graphic design in the first place?
Growing up, I was very good at school, very good at math, very good at science. I was an exemplary student, if you want. And so basically, my first thought was that I would go into something like engineering or that kind of thing. But then during my high school years, I became somewhat of a gothic person. Like I went into the goth subculture, which got me more in touch with my artistic, let's say, side, because there's a lot of feelings there. There's a lot of expressing your emotions,
Wow,
a
didn't
lot of
expect
reading
that.
as well. A lot of reading as well. And I would like try to letter bands, logos, or I just got into that. And I decided that I wanted to find something that is somewhat in between this analytical side that I have and also this artistic side that I'm discovering. And I found that graphic design would be it. Although I didn't really know what graphic design really entails. But I also knew that I'm not like a full-blown artist kind of
Mm.
person. So yeah, that's how I got into graphic design
And where did you study?
at UZEC,
Is that?
Holy Spirit University. And during
And,
my studies, I was more into illustration, by the way.
mm.
I
and how
wasn't into,
and
yeah.
how did that education at ISAC form you into what you are today?
To me, but during university years, I mean, illustration was like more of my artistic expression. During university also, the curriculum didn't cover Arabic typography. It was just Latin typography.
Mhm.
And when I graduated and I started working, Arabic typography was this mystery to me. I was like very curious about it. And also I was always questioning like our Lebanese visual identity and what it really is and how come we don't work with Arabic so much, etc.
Mm.
And so, I mean, I think like it's out of this need for not having studied it that I wanted to explore it on my own. And this is how I decided like to at least start lettering, let's say. So songs that I like, things, the quotes that I like. I started doing this after work on my own in a very intuitive way. I
Mhm.
tried to reach out to, I applied, for example, to KABK, but was
Mhm.
rejected because my portfolio was illustration.
Their
I
loss.
tried, yeah. I reached out to Nadine Shaheen to ask her, like, how can I get more into type design and know more? She told me to start with Arabic calligraphy, etc. But there wasn't many opportunities back then. Until I found out about Type at Paris. Actually, it was the first edition of Type at Paris because it was a short course. I didn't want to go into a very long,
Mm.
like year thing. And I was hoping when I went there that I would be able to work on something in Arabic, but they didn't allow that. But I thought, at least I can get to understand the process and maybe get something out of that. And then just the year after, there was ATGB.
Mm.
So I was lucky in that way because I didn't
Yeah,
have
that's
to
where we met.
wait so long. Yeah, that's very much.
And if you go back through the years to your experience at Wonder 8, what was the
Yeah.
first job there that got you interested? And like the first contact with Arabic? Was it there?
Not really. I joined Wonder 8 because when I joined Wonder 8, come in, there was a lot of focus on illustration as well. And also that's why like my choice was Wonder 8, and it was a very small studio. But then as the company grew, it went more into branding, and I started to love branding more. For example, we had this opportunity to work on branding Cafe Hamra in Hamra. And to me, that was like, yes, I'm going to get to work with Arabic, because if you're going to create a brand that embodies the nostalgia of Hamra pre-war, etc., you're bound to use some Arabic there, right? And we went to the Ministry of Tourism to get some archival stuff. We went into researching very old magazines, etc. But then the client decided that they wanted more of an international approach. So I tried to include some Arabic in the interior or in some merchandising, but still. But they knew at Wonder 8, the bosses, they knew that I have this curiosity for Arabic. So whenever an Arabic client came through, they would give me the opportunity to work on the project. Yeah. And so basically, when I started freelancing and I went more into Arabic, this is when my clients started to become more Arabic focused.
I'm interested about the latest project you did, the one that we saw on the walls in one of the cities in Saudi Arabia. How did that come in Jeddah? Yes, can you tell us more about that? That was brilliant, I think.
That was very cool.
All the work and the team that was involved. I mean, what was your input in that project?
Yeah, so basically, Beirut-based is a music festival that happens in Jeddah every year. And in the town of Jeddah, they have like several concerts, and stages. And what they do is that they project animations onto the buildings surrounding the stage. And usually, it's very like also illustrative animation inspired by Jeddah, etc. And they reached out to me and to two other lettering artists, Bayan Abdul Latif and Samar Makmoun. And they asked us to each design one of the buildings surrounding one specific stage. So we went through the process of picking out the words that would, be very inspiring movement or happiness or joy or music, etc. And we worked on lettering these words, and then they gave them to an animation agency who animated them and broadcast them on the walls.
It has a super effect. I mean, when we saw the images coming out, they were superb. And I'm really proud that they actually invited 3 women to do the lettering.
So am I. I've never worked, I have never had my lettering work animated, and now I'm very interested, and I'm trying to see how to maybe find a course or something to get into that, because it's super amazing to see them being animated and see them in their motion.
Then you have full control of what you want, how you want it to animate, right? Yeah.
Because we did like a mood board and with references showing how we'd like these to be animated, etc. But the end result was almost as I intended it to be, but it's also like really nice to be able to move these letters on a certain way.
And there's always a trick to the Arabic because it's cursive and it's connected.
Exactly.
You have. So can we tell our listeners, how do you start a project in lettering? Where is your starting point? I mean, what do you think of? Let's take زهقت من الحيطان. Really, that blew me away when I first saw it. So
I still have your copy with me, by the way.
Thank you. It just really felt exactly what I felt at the time during COVID. So I want to see how you actually started with this. What was the trigger?
Yeah, so it was COVID, obviously, not much to do back then. And I was like thinking of something to do with lettering for that. And it really just, I don't know how it came to me, the song. And I was like, oh my God, this is it, like زهقت من الحيطان. I started, what I do with lettering basically is I first start sketching out different ideas, and coming from a branding background, concept is very important to me. Like I don't like to do lettering for the aesthetics only, although there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel wrong if I did something just out of pure aesthetics. I need to have
Communication
a
or a message
reasoning.
at
Yes,
some point.
yes, a reasoning behind why I draw letters the way I'm drawing them. So yeah, I start with different sketches. I also always try to look at which script is best for communicating a certain, like, should it be fluid, should it be rigid, etc. I choose one that I find works best,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to, I draw it, I vectorize it, and then I just add the right textures or effect on it to give it more meaning.
And do you try different styles of calligraphy first, or is it based on a
Yeah,
calligraphy or just a hand-drawn forms?
like I do several things. Like with the Hitman al-Hitan, I tried an illustrative approach where I'm like more trying to create using hands and arms that are, trying to look very close on one another. And then I try to use Kufi because Kufi is a very rigid thing that looks like walls. But then I also went into the more emotional state of feeling like you're melting away, like you don't exist anymore. And that's where I went into a more of a fluid script and try to do that effect of being like paint dripping on a wall and just fading away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That brings the question of, you've done two self-initiated type design courses, short ones.
Yeah.
And you moved into lettering. How have these courses informed your lettering practice, and will we see a typeface design coming out of Nisrine?
Basically, so these two type design courses, they really opened my eyes on a lot of things that have to do with typography that I didn't really cover through my university years or through my work years. Like going into the intricacies of how letters are formed, going from skeletons, adding the flesh, all of these notions, and how to go from calligraphy into something that has more of a typographic expression. I had no idea about them before doing these type design courses. And they were essential in bettering, let's say, my lettering skills, because prior to that, my approach was very much more intuitive. I knew that I had to look at calligraphic examples. I knew that I had to do some calligraphic experiments, etc. But I didn't really understand what contrast is going from a calligraphy to a more like typographic, let's say high contrast, low contrast kind of thing. These interpretations were not something familiar to me. And so I feel like they have strengthened my lettering, specifically ATDB, because I stopped doing Latin lettering. I'm just more interested in Arabic. In terms of type design, to be honest, I'm with my branding work and with my being an instructor, and I'm not finding time to work on the typeface that I started during ATDB. But I'm finding lately, I've been thinking that, there's not a lot of display typefaces out there in Arabic.
True.
So I'm thinking to go maybe more towards that, because maybe start with some of my lettering stuff, try to turn them into a typeface. That kind of approach. That would take much less time, I feel, than doing a full-fledged text typeface.
And maybe not as many weights you need in a display.
Exactly.
You can do with 1 or 2 weights, and it would be you get the idea through.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get time to do that. Yeah, thanks.
Good luck. Good luck. And how do you transfer all that you know into the educational sphere? You're teaching also at LAU.
Yeah.
And what do you actually tell your students about type and what you've learned about type? What do you think their reaction is to your fascination with Arabic type also?
The thing is, and I don't know if you feel that way too, but most of the students have this apprehension when working with Arabic. Most of them even don't want to do that. Like they don't have the curiosity, or they don't feel that there is need. They're just generation after generation as well. I'm feeling that although the world of Arabic typography and lettering is booming and it's becoming so hip and so cool, and it's very much out there right now. But still, they feel more at ease working with Latin, and they want more to work with Latin, So I'm finding it very challenging to actually instill in them at least this curiosity, or this passion or this love for the Arabic typography. I'm being very honest here. But I'm also finding that lettering makes it easier for them. Like lettering is a very nice midway between doing something typographic and working with pre-existing typefaces that might come with their own restrictions.
True.
But lettering gives you more of a freedom to try to, be more expressive and come out with something that is more like you, let's say.
Less rule-based also.
Yeah, exactly. So lettering is like this starting point, if you want, that makes them more interesting in Arabic.
Okay. Along your career, Nisrine, what inspired you? I mean, what is your source of inspiration? Where do you look for inspiration? Whether it's places, people, objects, things, weather, I don't know. What did inspire you along the way for that? And what do you look for when you start a new project? How do you start a new project also?
Yeah.
Like, what inspires you? What kind of research do you do?
So basically, there's obviously the clear way to do research, like you research the brand you're trying to create, their competitors, when we're talking branding, right? Their competitors, the market, etc. But to me, where do I find inspiration is in reading. I find that the most projects that I was happy with I was happy working on coming out with ideas for are projects that I read prior to creating them, reading about the process of another designer makes me inspired more than just looking at what they did.
Exactly.
I think,
and I do understand. And sometimes reading a novel sometimes feeds into the work that you're doing. Just something outside of what you're doing can also feed into it, because you're in the back of your head, you're thinking of that project and whatever you're reading or watching, or you're just projecting your ideas onto that and taking from it. And that's where I think new ideas come in.
Yeah. And having, in the branding world, working in an agency, and also like right now, we have so many projects in parallel that you need to work on. And I find that the best way to be able to manage time with that is that really what you said, to have them in the back of your mind all the time. Even if you're working in and then somehow, somewhere you see something, it links back to it, and you have this aha moment. But reading really is, and this is also what I tell my students, like, don't go like researching for visual stuff without reading about how they came up with these visual stuff, the whole process behind them. That's very hard to convince them to do, but
yeah, it's becoming harder and harder. And if you go back on your career a bit, I mean, what is the project you're most proud of? Or the project you enjoyed doing? They don't have to be the same, by the way.
Yeah. I have a weird relationship with my project, because like when you finish a project, you're almost like you're like relieved. You don't want to hear about it anymore somehow, but also you're like scared of what's going to happen when it comes to life. I feel like I tend to not be proud of my project because of that. But as a whole, I'm proud of my lettering work, basically, and I enjoy my lettering work the most. And I'm happy that I finally got to a point where I'm having clients reach out to me specifically for my lettering skills, and they understand the importance of that in branding work. Like I have, for example, advertising agencies that reach out to me to letter slogans for campaigns. This is something I find is new to the Arab world, basically, because usually they just choose typefaces, right?
Yeah, true.
And now they're understanding more and more that in order to be different and unique, and the fact that there aren't so many typefaces, Arabic typefaces out there, lettering is a needed skill. And this is basically like what I'm happy about right now. Like even recently, there was this campaign for Sharjah tourism, which are videos with supers that were done in Latin by an international agency, and they needed to do the Arabic supers for that. And they also reached out to me to create the Arabic visuals for that. So these kinds of projects are what I'm most interested in.
And I can see you moving from these lettering into type, because each form you draw is an idea for a whole typeface,
Exactly.
It's itching you and saying,
yeah, exactly.
Why don't you complete my set of letters, please? Give me my sisters and brothers next to me.
Yeah. I've actually worked on an exhibition for an artist who is also a friend of mine, Tarek Al-Asouf. And for his exhibition for the didactic signage, we created this basic Kufic, very square Kufic lettering. And we're now in the process of discussing whether we should turn it into a typeface or not. So yeah, these kinds of projects, I think, are a good starting point to go into display typefaces.
Nisrine, a bit of a self-reflection question. Are you one of those people who have plans for the next 10 to 20 years and see yourself somewhere doing something?
I don't have plans for tomorrow yet. Definitely not one of those people. I wish I was, but I really take it as it comes.
Okay. But interesting.
I do like coming now to, I'm almost 40. I do wonder, like now, in 10 years, will a freelance career be enough? You know, like it's hard to stay a freelancer for such a long time. Should I turn into a small studio? Should I focus more on my academic career? Should I, like I'm going through these questions, but haven't found an answer yet for that. But
it will roll. It will come. It will come.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I mean, follow your heart in where things take you. Nisrine, I want to ask you about your freelance career and how sustainable this is, and what do you advise our listeners in how to maintain it? How much time and effort does it take, and what do you actually depend on in maintaining a freelance career?
First, I would like just to say that working at an agency first before becoming a freelancer is very important, because I have students that want to start like their freelance career right away. And I understand the lure, of wanting to be a freelancer, independent, no boss, etc. But it's really important to go through the agency or even studio experience just to get more experience, at least with communicating with the client, with organizing your project, with understanding print work more, that kind of stuff. And then in terms of sustaining a freelancing career, to be honest, I'm one of those people who do not network much, but I rely a lot on word of mouth. And that's why it's so important to be a good person, not just a good designer.
And you don't rely on social media also?
So my Instagram, yeah, I relied on social media for lettering. And this is why on social media, I don't put a lot of branding work, because I'm trying to attract Arabic lettering. But on my website, which I don't promote much, but I have more branding work there. But I do get clients really from word of mouth or from referrals, because you have to be a professional person, not just a professional designer. To me, that's really the important thing, because you can have all the skills in the world, be the best designer there is, but not be committed, not be passionate, not be respectful, and then nobody would recommend you.
Nice. I mean, that's what you mean by good designer.
Yeah. A good person.
Yeah, a good person, or I mean, a professional that meets deadlines, is honest.
Exactly.
Great.
And also like friendly and good, like build relationships, like give them your honest opinion, tell them what works, what doesn't. If they ask something of you that you find they don't need to do, just be honest about it,
Exactly.
And they will appreciate that.
Yeah, I've learned that along the years too. Great note to end this conversation with, Nisrine. Love it. I'm just really curious, what book are you reading now, since you're an avid reader? Or how many books are you reading?
No, right now I'm reading one very big book.
Which is?
That one. The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate.
Okay.
Which is like about diving into your traumas and understanding how traumas like affect your physical body and stuff. I became very interested in traumas basically when I became a mother, because I'm trying not to traumatize my son all the time. So that got me into my own healing journey, if you want.
Interesting.
So that's what I'm using.
Interesting that you call getting children traumatic, but yeah, I love that.
No, it's actually healing because you're trying not to traumatize. You know, like you're trying to heal yourself so that you don't project onto him all of your trauma.
Well, the book is a great start.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nisrine. Thank you, Nisrine, for this
Thank
great
you,
conversation.
Yara, so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.